Have you ever noticed how the more you try to force things, the more stubborn life becomes? It is a peculiar and frustrating irony of the human experience that the moment you are in a desperate rush, the world seems to conspire to slow you down. It is as if the keys hide themselves the very second you realize you are late. It is as if the traffic lights coordinate to turn red the moment your anxiety peaks. Your computer freezes exactly when you need to send that urgent message, and the harder you click, the more frozen it becomes. This is not a coincidence. This is a mechanism. It is the universe reflecting your own chaotic vibration back to you. You are pushing against the fabric of reality, and by the laws of physics and metaphysics alike, reality is pushing back with equal and opposite force. Yet, look around you with clear eyes. There are people in this world who seem to operate under a completely different set of rules. They speak once, calmly and gently, and things just move. Doors that were locked to you swing open for them. Help appears before they even ask. Timing aligns with such precision, it feels scripted. The check arrives in the mail the same morning the bill is due. The right person calls them exactly when they need an answer. It almost feels unfair, doesn't it? You are working hard. You are pushing, planning, stressing, losing sleep, and negotiating with your willpower, yet you are barely inching forward. Meanwhile, someone else is simply commanding without effort, gliding through life while you are clawing your way through it. Before your mind jumps to the convenient conclusion that this is just luck, let me stop you right there. Luck is often just the lazy name we give to spiritual laws we do not yet understand. There is no such thing as an accident in a universe governed by order. What you call luck is actually alignment. What you call struggle is actually resistance. Today we are going to talk about a law that frees you from strain, struggle, and emotional wrestling matches with life. This is the art of commanding without stress. This is the secret of the secret door to success that few ever find because they are too busy banging on the wall. If you have been exhausted from trying to make things happen, if you are tired of motivating yourself every Monday morning like a broken alarm clock that needs to be shaken to work, or if you have ever looked at the ceiling at 3 a.m. and thought, "Why does everything feel so hard?" then stay with me. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not cursed. You have simply been using force where authority was required. Let me say that again slowly, because this is where most people miss the turning point of their lives. You have been using force where authority was required. We must understand the fundamental difference between force and authority because they look similar on the outside but are opposites on the inside. Force is tiring. Authority is restful. Force is loud. Authority is quiet. Force is the energy of the desperate applicant. Authority is the energy of the seated judge. I know how it feels to live in force. You wake up with good intentions. You tell yourself that today you will be disciplined, today you will push through, today you will conquer the mountain. But by noon, you are already negotiating with your willpower like it is a stubborn child who refuses to walk. By evening, you are either drained, guilty, or scrolling on your phone to numb the feeling of unproductivity, wondering where the day went. And then, the worst part happens. You blame yourself. You say to yourself, "I just need more effort. I need more discipline. I need more pressure." But pressure has never been the source of true power. Alignment has. The core struggle isn't that you don't want success badly enough. It is that you have been taught to command life the same way you command a stuck physical object, by pushing harder. But life is not a heavy couch you are trying to move across the room. Life is a fluid system of intelligence. Life does not respond to pushing. Life responds to knowing. Here is the quiet truth that changes the game. When you truly know a thing is yours, you do not chase it. You do not argue with it. You do not beg the universe like it is an overworked customer service agent who has lost your file. You speak from certainty. And certainty carries no tension. Think about how you ask for something when you are unsure. Your voice tightens. Your pitch goes up. Your words multiply because you feel the need to explain and justify your existence. You over-explain why you deserve it. Now, think about how you speak when you are absolutely certain. Short sentences, calm tone, no rush, no apology. That is authority. That is the vibration that rearranges atoms. The same law applies inwardly to your own psychology. Most people are stressed not because life is difficult, but because their inner conversations are full of arguments. One part of them wants success, but another part doubts they are worthy of it. One part affirms abundance, but another whispers, "Be realistic, look at the economy." And so, they live in a constant inner debate, trying to command results while contradicting themselves at the same time. You cannot issue a clear command from a divided mind. It is like a general giving two opposite orders to his army at the exact same moment. The army does not move. It stands there in confusion. This is why your life feels stuck. It is not because the universe is blocking you. It is because you are canceling out your own commands. Now, do not worry. This is not about fighting the doubting voice. Fighting only gives it a microphone. Fighting is just another form of force. This is about understanding something so simple it almost feels insulting to the intellect. The subconscious mind does not respond to effort, it responds to acceptance. Effort says, "I am trying to get there." Authority says, "I am here." Life always mirrors whichever one you choose. There is a profound reason why stress commands fail. Stress is simply faith tied in a knot. Stress means you are mentally gripping the outcome, afraid it will escape if you loosen your hold. You believe that your worrying is the glue holding your life together. You think if you stop worrying, everything will fall apart. But the irony is this: what you grip tightly cannot move freely toward you. Imagine trying to command a dog to come to you while you are visibly panicked, waving your arms, shouting its name over and over with terror in your eyes. The dog senses the chaos and either runs around in circles or sits there confused. It does not know what you want because your energy contradicts your words. Now imagine kneeling calmly, opening your arms, and saying the dog's name once with confidence. Same command, different energy, completely different result. Life is that dog. And right now, many people are shouting at it internally. We have been conditioned to believe that struggle is a virtue. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. We tell our friends how busy we are, how tired we are, how hard we are working, as if suffering is the currency with which we buy success. But this is a lie of the mortal mind. The superconscious mind knows nothing of struggle. The flower does not struggle to open. The sun does not struggle to rise. The ocean does not struggle to hold the ships. They simply are. They operate from a place of being, not trying. When you try, you imply the possibility of failure. When you are, you imply the inevitability of success. This paradox of force is the reason why you often get the thing you want, the moment you stop needing it so desperately. You have likely experienced this. You chase a relationship, a job, or an opportunity, and it runs from you. Then, the moment you finally give up, not in defeat, but in a release of tension, the moment you say, "I am fine with or without this," it suddenly appears on your doorstep. Why? Because you stopped pushing. You stopped creating the resistance that was keeping it away. You inadvertently stepped into the state of authority. You signaled to the universe that you are whole, and the universe reflected that wholeness back to you. The mistake we make is thinking that this calm state comes after the results arrive. We think, "I will be calm when I have the money. I will be secure when I have the partner. I will be confident when I have the job." In truth, results arrive after the calm state becomes familiar. Authority is not loud. Authority is settled. It is a decision that has been made and does not need to be remade every 5 minutes. If you order a package online, you do not call the shipping company every hour to scream, "Are you sure it is coming?" You click order, and then you go about your life. You trust the process. Yet, with the most important things in our lives, we refuse to trust the process. We hover, we micromanage, we interfere. And in doing so, we block the very delivery we are waiting for. Most stress comes from resisting your own desires. You want abundance, but you keep explaining to yourself why it is hard to get. You want peace, but you rehearse reasons why you cannot have it yet. You want change, but you keep checking the clock like it is late for something important. Command begins when you say inwardly, "This is settled," even if you do not yet know how. Especially if you do not yet know how. The how has never been your responsibility. The how belongs to an intelligence far more organized than your daily to-do list. Your role is to agree with the outcome, not supervise the process. This introduction to the law of non-resistance is your invitation to put down the heavy weapons you have been carrying. You have been fighting a war that ended a long time ago. You have been pushing against a door that opens inward. All your pushing has only kept it jammed shut. Today, we are going to learn how to step back. We are going to learn how to pull the door open gently. We are going to replace the frantic energy of I hope with the solid ground of I know. We are going to move from the noisy, exhausting world of force into the quiet, powerful realm of authority. Because once you learn to stop fighting life, you will be amazed at how quickly life starts fighting for you. This is not about becoming passive or lazy. It is about becoming precise. It is about conserving your energy for the actions that truly matter, rather than wasting it on fear and friction. So take a deep breath, loosen your shoulders, and prepare to unlearn the habits of struggle. You are about to discover that the keys you thought you lost were in your pocket the entire time. Let us speak plainly about the foundation of your exhaustion, because unless we dismantle the foundation, the house of stress will keep rebuilding itself, no matter how many positive affirmations you paint on the walls. Most of you were raised with a belief system that is actively poisoning your success and sabotaging your peace. You were taught from a very young age that seriousness equals power. You were conditioned to believe that if you are not worrying, you are not responsible, and if you are not exhausted, you are not working hard enough. Society applauds the martyr. We give gold stars to the one who burns out. We tell stories of people who suffered immensely to get what they wanted, and we convince ourselves that the suffering was the necessary currency they paid for their victory. This is a lie of the mortal mind, and it is the primary reason you feel stuck. The truth is that the suffering was not the cause of their success, but the obstacle they had to overcome to achieve it. We must look at the psychological architecture of this error. You believe that your worry is a form of control. You think that by replaying the worst-case scenarios in your head, you are somehow preparing for them or preventing them. You treat your anxiety like a security guard patrolling the borders of your life. But you do not realize that the security guard is actually a thief. Worry does not empty tomorrow of its sorrow, it empties today of its strength. When you worry, you are not controlling the outcome, you are simply rehearsing failure. You are using the creative power of your imagination to build a blueprint of disaster that your subconscious mind is then obligated to fulfill. This is the great error of the struggle. It is the belief that you can fight your way to peace or worry your way to freedom. You are trying to use the very tools that create chaos to build order, and it will never work. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that man can only be what he sees himself to be. If you see yourself as a warrior fighting against life, then life will obligingly provide you with endless battles to fight. The universe is a mirror, not a judge. If you wake up with the energy of a fighter wearing your armor, carrying your shield, expecting an attack, the universe looks at you and says, "You are dressed for war, so war is what I must give you." You create the very resistance you claim to hate because your identity is wrapped up in the struggle. Ask yourself who you would be without your problems. Who would be without your stress? For many people, that question is terrifying because they have equated their value with their struggle. They think if they are not fighting, they are lazy. If they are not climbing a difficult mountain, they are not making progress. This addiction to difficulty is what keeps the easy path hidden from view. Let us examine your typical day to see this error in action. You wake up with good intentions. You tell yourself that today I will make it happen. Today I will force the result. But notice the language you use. You say I will make it happen. You place the entire burden of the universe on your small shoulders. By noon, you are already negotiating with your willpower like it is a stubborn child. You are dragging yourself through tasks using sheer force. You are drinking coffee not for enjoyment, but as a chemical weapon against your own fatigue. By evening, you are drained. You are guilty. You are wondering where the day went and why you achieved so little despite feeling like you ran a marathon. And then comes the most dangerous part of the cycle. You blame yourself. You say, I just need more discipline. I need to apply more pressure. I need to be harder on myself. But pressure has never been the source of power. Alignment is. You are trying to run a car by pushing it from behind instead of sitting in the driver's seat and turning the key. Pushing requires enormous effort and yields very little movement. Driving requires very little effort and yields enormous speed. The difference is the engine. When you use force, you are using your limited conscious mind as the engine. It creates heat, it creates friction, and it eventually burns out. When you use authority, you are letting the infinite intelligence within you be the engine. You are steering, but you are not providing the fuel. This is the shift we are aiming for. The error of the struggle is the arrogance of thinking you have to be the fuel. The subconscious mind, which is the faithful servant that manifests your reality, does not understand force. It understands suggestion, and it understands pictures. When you worry and stress, you are inadvertently commanding the subconscious to create chaos. Stress is simply faith tied in a knot. Stress is you telling the universe, I do not trust the divine design to handle this, so I will try to handle it with my limited mortal mind. Every time you panic, you are sending a clear picture to your subconscious, and that picture says, I am unsafe, I am lacking, I am in danger. And the subconscious, which has no sense of humor and no ability to argue, simply says, yes, master, and proceeds to manifest more circumstances that make you feel unsafe, lacking, and in danger. You are caught in a feedback loop of your own making. You push. Life pushes back. You panic. Life becomes chaotic. You push harder. Consider the analogy of the dog again, because it is so vital to understand this dynamic. Imagine you are in a park and you want a dog to come to you. If you run at the dog, screaming its name with desperation in your eyes, waving your arms, trying to grab its collar, what does the dog do? It runs away. It perceives you as a threat. It senses your chaotic vibration, and it wants nothing to do with you. This is exactly how most people pursue money. This is how they pursue love. This is how they pursue health. They chase it with a frantic energy that repels the very thing they desire. They check their bank accounts with fear. They look in the mirror with criticism. They text their romantic interest with neediness. They are screaming at the dog and wondering why it keeps running. Now imagine the master. The master stands still. The master is calm. The master whistles once or calls the name with absolute certainty. The master creates a space of safety and command. And the dog comes. Why? Because the energy of the master is attractive. It is magnetic. It signals safety and order. Life is that dog. Right now you are shouting at it. You are chasing the things you want, and spiritual law dictates that what you chase must run. This is the law of non-resistance in reverse. By resisting the silence, by resisting the trust, you are actively pushing away your good. You are working hard against yourself. We must also address the misconception of willpower. Willpower is a limited resource. It is like a battery. You wake up with a certain amount of it, and every time you force yourself to do something you do not believe in, every time you fight a negative thought with a clenched jaw, you drain that battery. By the afternoon, you are empty. This is why you collapse. This is why you binge eat or scroll mindlessly or snap at your loved ones. It is not because you are a bad person. It is because you are spiritually and mentally bankrupt from the expenditure of force. Authority, on the other hand, is not a battery. It is a connection to the main power grid. When you operate from authority, you are plugged into a source that does not run out. You can do more work with less fatigue because you are not fighting friction. The error of the struggle also stems from a misunderstanding of how creation works. You think you have to manipulate the outside world to change your inside world. You think I need to get the money so I can feel secure. I need to get the relationship so I can feel loved. You are trying to arrange the furniture of your life before you have built the house. The spiritual law works in the exact opposite direction. You must capture the feeling of the wish fulfilled before the wish can manifest. You must feel secure before the money comes. You must feel whole before the love arrives. Struggle is the result of trying to invert this law. You are trying to squeeze the feeling of security out of a chaotic world, and it is like trying to squeeze water from a stone. This leads us to the concept of the divided mind. Most people are living in a house divided against itself. One part of them affirms wealth and success. They say the positive words, they read the books, they attend the seminars. But another part of them, the deeper part, is terrified of poverty and failure. They are driving with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. The engine creates a lot of noise. There is a lot of smoke. The wheels are spinning, but the car is not moving. This is the definition of struggle. High effort, zero displacement. The error is thinking that if you just press harder on the gas you will move. But you will not move until you take your foot off the brake. The brake is your fear. The brake is your belief that it has to be hard. The brake is your addiction to the struggle. To command life without effort, you must first forgive yourself for the struggle. You must realize that you were doing the best you could with the programming you were given. You were taught to fight, so you fought, but now you are learning a higher way. You are learning that the battle is not yours. The battle belongs to the intelligence that created you. Your role is not to be the soldier in the trenches getting muddy and bloody. Your role is to be the general on the hill who sees the whole picture and issues the calm command. The soldier works harder, but the general has more power. You have been playing the soldier when you were born to be the general. Stop wearing your stress like a badge of honor. Stop competing with your friends to see who is more tired. Stop telling the story of how hard your life is. Every time you tell the story of your struggle, you renew its lease on your life. You sign a new contract with difficulty. If you want the struggle to end, you must stop giving it airtime. You must stop feeding the beast that is eating your peace. The error is not in having problems. The error is in thinking that fighting the problems is the solution. The solution is to rise above the level of the problem to a level of consciousness where the problem cannot exist. Darkness cannot exist in the presence of light. You do not fight darkness with a sword. You simply turn on the light. Struggle is fighting the darkness. Authority is turning on the light. So, as we close this examination of the error, let this sink into your bones. Your exhaustion is not a sign of your virtue, it is a sign of your resistance. You have been swimming upstream against the current of your own good. The divine design for your life is a stream of abundance, health, and love that flows naturally. When you struggle, you are turning around and trying to swim back up that river. You are exhausted, not because the river is cruel, but because you are going the wrong way. Turn around, float, trust. Allow the current to carry you. This is not laziness. This is the ultimate act of faith, and it is the only way to command life without force. The struggle ends the moment you realize there was never anything to fight against except your own shadow. Now that we have dismantled the error of the struggle, we must build something in its place. We must understand the specific architecture of the mind that allows for command, because if you simply stop struggling but remain in a state of desperate wanting, you are still not in alignment. We need to shift from the noisy frequency of chasing to the silent frequency of having. To do this, we must explore the 3 distinct states of mind from which you can speak to the universe. These are wanting, hoping, and knowing. Most people spend their entire lives bouncing between wanting and hoping, never touching the hem of the garment of knowing. This is why their prayers go unanswered and their dreams remain distant. Let us examine the state of wanting. Wanting is the most deceptive state because it masquerades as ambition. You think that by wanting something badly enough, you are drawing it closer. You believe that your intense desire is the fuel for manifestation. But metaphysical law dictates the exact opposite. To say I want is to issue a declaration of lack. To say I want money is to say I do not have money. To say I want love is to admit I am lonely. The universe is a literal listener. It does not hear your intent. It hears your vibration. When you vibrate with, I want, the universe responds by giving you more of the experience of wanting. It keeps the object of your desire just out of reach, so that you can continue to fulfill your affirmation of wanting it. Wanting is noisy. It is filled with the clamor of the ego asking, where is it? Why isn't it here? Look how much I need it. This noise creates a static interference that blocks the signal of your own good. Wanting is a state of separation. You cannot want what you already have, so by maintaining the feeling of wanting, you are maintaining the reality of separation. Then we move to the state of hoping. Hoping is polite. It is socially acceptable. We are taught to be hopeful. But in the realm of command, hoping is weak. Hope carries the energy of maybe. It admits the possibility of failure. When you say, I hope this works out, you are telling your subconscious mind that there is a significant chance it will not work out. Hope is a hedge against disappointment. It is a safety net you build because you do not truly trust the law. While hope is better than despair, it is not a position of power. A king does not hope his laws are obeyed. A captain does not hope the ship turns when he steers the wheel. They know. Hope keeps you in the waiting room of life, reading old magazines and checking the clock, while the real action happens behind the closed door. We want to get you out of the waiting room and into the throne room. This brings us to the state of knowing. Knowing is the spiritual posture of the master. Knowing is quiet. It is final. It is absolute. When you truly know a thing is yours by divine right, you do not argue with it. You do not beg the universe for it. You do not negotiate. You simply accept it as a fact that has already occurred in the mental realm. Think about the things you currently know. You know your name. You know you are breathing. You know that if you drop a pen, it will fall to the floor. Do you affirm these things? Do you wake up and visualize gravity working? Do you write in your journal, I hope my name is still my name? Of course not. You have zero resistance to these facts. They are settled. This is the vibration of knowing. It is a state of rest. When you reach the state of knowing regarding your desires, the anxiety evaporates instantly. You stop checking the phone. You stop looking for signs. You stop asking others for validation. You are settled. We must analyze the voice of authority, because your voice is the steering wheel of your life. Think about how you speak when you are unsure. Your voice tightens. Your pitch goes up. Your sentences become long and winding. You over-explain. You justify. You add qualifiers like I think, or maybe, or hopefully. This is the sound of a person who is trying to convince themselves. Now think about how you speak when you are absolutely certain. Short sentences. Calm tone. No rush. No apology. My name is. I live at. I am going to. There is a downward inflection at the end of the sentence. It lands. That is authority. That is the posture you must adopt internally. You must stop trying to convince the universe of your worthiness and start stating your reality. The Bible says, decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee. It does not say beg for a thing. It does not say explain why you need a thing. It says decree. A decree is a command issued by a sovereign power. You are the sovereign power of your own world, but you have been acting like a beggar at your own gate. However, you cannot issue a clear decree from a divided mind. This is the root of the failure for so many students of truth. They are living in a house divided against itself. One part of them wants success. They read the books, they say the affirmations, they visualize the wealth. But another part of them, usually the part programmed in childhood, whispers doubt. It says, who are you to ask for this? Be realistic. Look at the economy. Look at your past failures. So they live in a constant inner debate. One minute they are commanding, the next minute they are canceling the command. They are like a general giving two opposite orders to the army at the exact same time. Attack, retreat, attack, retreat. The army stands still in confusion. This is why your life feels stuck. It is not because the universe is blocking you. It is because you are neutralizing your own power. You are pressing the gas and the brake simultaneously. You must unify your mind. You must bring the subconscious into agreement with the conscious. This is not done by fighting the doubt. Fighting the doubt only gives it energy. You do not fight darkness with a sword, you turn on the light. You unify the mind by bypassing the argument entirely. You do this by moving from the complexity of how to the simplicity of is. When you focus on how it will happen, the doubting mind has 1,000 objections. It will tell you you don't have the education, the money, or the connections. But when you focus on the is, the end result, the doubting mind has less to grab onto. You simply state, I am this. You do not ask the doubt for permission. You do not wait for the fear to leave before you act. You act over the head of the fear. You speak over the voice of the doubt. Eventually, the doubt starves from lack of attention and the divided mind becomes whole. Let us use the analogy of the seed because it is the most perfect description of this spiritual posture. When you plant a seed in the ground, you perform an act of knowing. You dig a hole, you place the seed, you cover it up, and you walk away. You do not come back 3 hours later to dig it up and see if it has roots. You do not stand over the soil shouting at it to grow. You do not call your friends and cry because you can't see the plant yet. You know that the seed contains a pattern of life and the soil contains the intelligence to nurture it. You trust the darkness of the soil. You trust the silence of the germination period. Yet with your life, you are constantly digging up your seeds. You plant a decree for prosperity in the morning. I am divinely provided for. That is the seed. But by noon, you are looking at a bill and worrying. That is digging up the seed. By dinner, you are complaining to your spouse about the price of groceries. You have just tossed the seed out of the ground. Then you wonder why your garden is barren. You must learn to leave the seed alone. The darkness of the waiting period is not a sign that nothing is happening. It is a sign that the most important work is happening. The roots are forming in the dark. The structure of your success is being built in the invisible realm. If you expose it to the light of your anxiety too soon, you kill it. The spiritual posture of knowing is the discipline of not digging up your seeds. It is the ability to look at a blank surface and know that underneath life is moving. This brings us to the concept of the divine design. When you are in a state of wanting, you are operating from your limited, mortal mind. You are asking for things based on what you think you need or what your neighbor has. But when you shift to knowing you align with the divine design of your life, there is a plan for you that is higher than your own plan. There is a version of your life that is easier and more abundant than anything you can force into existence. When you command from a place of knowing, you are not forcing your will upon the world, you are accepting God's will for you, which is always abundance and health. You are saying, I accept the good that has been prepared for me. This removes the strain. You are not building the house with your own hands. You are moving into a house that has been built for you. Your only job is to unlock the door. The key is your faith. Consider the difference between a request and a claim. If you go to the bank to withdraw your own money, you do not request it with fear. You claim it. You fill out the slip and hand it to the teller with total expectation. You do not worry if the bank has money. You do not worry if the teller likes you. It is your money. The universe is a celestial bank. You have deposited thoughts and actions and spiritual credit. When you need a withdrawal, you must approach the counter of life with the same authority. I am here to claim my good, not, please can I have some? The moment you switch from begging to claiming, the flow opens. Begging confirms you are a servant. Claiming confirms you are an heir. You are an heir to the kingdom. It is time you started acting like one. This spiritual posture of knowing also changes how you handle time. In the state of wanting, time is your enemy. Every day that passes without your desire manifesting feels like a punishment. You count the days. You feel old. You feel late. In the state of knowing, time is your ally. You understand that time is simply the medium through which the result is traveling to you. You do not rush the baker when the bread is in the oven, because you know the heat needs time to do its work. If you pull it out too early, it is dough. If you leave it, it becomes bread. When you know, you are patient. Not the patience of suffering, but the patience of certainty. You can enjoy today because you are not frantically trying to get to tomorrow. You can breathe, you can laugh, you can live, because the heavy lifting has been done. The order has been placed. The delivery is guaranteed. To maintain this posture, you must become the guardian of your inner gate. You must watch your thoughts as a cat watches a mouse hole. When a thought of wanting tries to enter a thought of, I don't have it, I'm afraid, it's not coming, you must pounce on it. You do not fight it with emotion, you neutralize it with truth. You say, this thought is a lie. The truth is that my good is here. You replace the vibration of lack with the vibration of presence. It requires diligence at first. It is a mental discipline, but soon it becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, you become a magnet. Things start to chase you. Opportunities find you. Money finds you. Love finds you. Because you are no longer pushing them away with the frantic energy of need. You have become a stationary point of power in a moving world. So here is your instruction for this part of the journey. Stop asking, am I doing it right? And start asking, am I knowing it is done? The difference is subtle, but it is the difference between a life of struggle and a life of miracles. Shift your weight. Lean back into the certainty of the law. Stop trying to convince the universe and start commanding your subconscious. Speak to yourself with the authority of the final word. It is so. It is done. It is mine. And then, like the master gardener, take your hands off the seed and let the divine intelligence bring the harvest to you. You are ready to stop wanting and start having. This is the spiritual posture that opens the secret door to success. I want to pause here for just a moment. If you are finding yourself nodding to this, if you realize you have been digging up your own seeds and fighting battles that do not belong to you, then you are ready for a higher level of living. We are building a community here of individuals who are done with the struggle and are ready to take their seat on the throne of their own lives. If you wish to deepen this understanding and receive regular reminders of your own power, I invite you to subscribe to this channel right now. Join us. Turn on the notification bell, not because you need more noise in your life, but because you need a steady signal of truth to counteract the noise of the world. Give yourself permission to learn this new language of silence. Click subscribe, and let us continue this journey into the law of non-resistance together. We have arrived at the most counterintuitive, and yet the most powerful principle in the entire metaphysics of success. This is the pivot point where the struggle ends and the miracle begins. We have spoken about the error of force and the posture of knowing, but now we must discuss the specific mechanism of engagement with the problems that currently exist in your life. This is the law of non-resistance. Florence Scovel Shinn gave us one of the most potent axioms in history when she said, "Resist not evil." This simple phrase has been misunderstood for centuries. To the uninitiated mind, it sounds like a command to be weak. It sounds like a suggestion to become a doormat for the world to walk upon. But this is a grave misunderstanding. To resist not is not an act of surrender to defeat. It is a strategic withdrawal of energy from the things you do not wish to experience. It is the ultimate act of spiritual martial arts, where you use the momentum of the problem to defeat the problem itself. We must understand the physics of the mental world to grasp why this works. Attention is energy. Focus is fuel. Whatever you fight, you feed. This is an immutable law. When you argue with a situation, you bind it to you with chains of steel. When you wake up every morning and mentally wrestle with your debt, you are pouring your life force into that debt, keeping it alive and growing. When you resent a person, you are feeding that relationship with your emotional energy, ensuring that they remain in your sphere of experience. As long as you resist a condition, that condition must remain because you are holding it in place with your own focus. Resistance is like a Chinese finger trap. The harder you pull to get out, the tighter the weave becomes. The only way to release your finger is to push in, to relax, to stop struggling. You cannot command life while you are terrified of it. You cannot command money while you are afraid of poverty, because fear is simply faith in evil. Fear is faith inverted. When you fear something, you are believing in its power to hurt you more than you believe in the power of the divine design to protect you. This creates a magnetic vortex that draws the very thing you fear right to your doorstep. The law of non-resistance is the tool we use to break this magnetic attraction. It is the art of looking at a terrifying situation and declaring it powerless. It is the ability to stand before a roaring lion of a problem and realize it has no teeth unless you give it yours. Let us apply this to the situations that keep you awake at night. When a negative thought attacks you, and it will, because the mortal mind is a creature of habit, your instinct is to fight it. You try to push the fear away. You try to argue with the anxiety. You try to drown it out with noise. But this is resistance. This is friction. And friction creates heat, not light. Instead of fighting the thought, you must neutralize it. You must practice the alchemy of indifference. You must learn to look at the worst-case scenario and say to it, "You have no power. You are an illusion of the mortal mind. I am under divine protection, and this situation creates a channel for my good." Watch what happens when you do this. The moment you stop fearing the outcome changes. It has to change, because the energy sustaining it has been cut off. I want to share a specific example that illustrates this perfectly, because stories anchor the truth in our minds. I once knew a woman who was terrified of losing her job. Her company was downsizing and rumors were flying. Every morning, she walked into that office with a knot in her stomach. She analyzed every look from her boss. She overworked herself into exhaustion, trying to prove her worth. She was operating from pure resistance. She was vibrating at the frequency of, "I am afraid to be fired." And the universe, which is a faithful mirror, was preparing to fire her. She was literally creating her own dismissal with her anxiety. Her fear was making her clumsy. Her tension was making her unapproachable. She was manifesting the very thing she fought against. Then she learned the law of non-resistance. She realized she was digging her own grave with her worry. She decided to cast the burden. She stopped fighting the idea of unemployment. She sat down and had a conversation with her own soul. She said, "If this door closes, a better one opens. My supply does not come from this company. My supply comes from the infinite intelligence that created me. This job is just a channel, and if one channel clogs, the flow will simply burst through another." She changed her affirmation. She stopped saying, "I hope I don't lose this job," and started saying, "I have a wonderful work in a wonderful way. I give wonderful service for wonderful pay." The shift was palpable. She stopped rushing. She stopped apologizing. She stopped looking at her boss with fear and started looking at him with neutrality. She did her work with calm authority, not because she was afraid of punishment, but because she took pride in her excellence. She became light. She became pleasant to be around. A week later, the layoffs happened. She was not fired. In fact, she was promoted to take over the duties of those who had left. Why? Because she moved from the vibration of a victim to the vibration of a victor. Authority acts. Anxiety reacts. Authority creates. Anxiety competes. She stopped resisting the change and became the master of the change. This law applies equally to your finances. Many of you are in a wrestling match with your bills. You hate them. You open the envelopes with dread. You resent the electricity company. You resent the landlord. You pay the money with a tight hand and a heavy heart. You are resisting the flow of commerce. You are saying, "I hate paying this," which is another way of saying, "I hate having money flow through me." You must stop resisting your expenses. Bless your bills. It sounds absurd, but it is powerful. Bless the check you write. Say, "I pay this with love, and I know that under the divine law, it returns to me multiplied." When you pay with a relaxed spirit, you open the gates for more to come in. When you pay with resentment, you are closing the gates. The law of non-resistance turns a transaction into a blessing. It turns a loss into an investment. Now, we must address the most difficult application of this law, which is in human relationships. Nothing drains your power faster than personal conflict. Resentment is a poison you drink, hoping the other person will die. As long as you are resisting someone's behavior, you are their prisoner. If someone is unjust to you and you spend days replaying the argument in your head, you are giving them your life force. You are letting them rent space in your mind for free. The law of non-resistance says you must forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you cannot afford the luxury of resentment. Resentment cuts you off from the superconscious mind. It is a thick wall of static that blocks your intuition. To practice non-resistance with people, you must realize that everyone is a golden link in the chain of your good. Even the difficult people, especially the difficult people, they are teaching you patience, they are teaching you boundaries, or they are simply pushing you out of a situation you have outgrown. When you stop fighting them and start seeing them as agents of your evolution, they lose their power to annoy you. You say, "I salute the divinity in you," and you move on. You do not argue. You do not try to prove them wrong. You simply refuse to participate in the drama. Silence is often the strongest form of non-resistance. When you refuse to defend yourself, you become defenseless, and therefore invulnerable. There is nothing for their attack to hit. It passes right through you like smoke. There is a metaphysical concept called the boomerang. Whatever you throw out into the world returns to you. If you throw out resistance, it returns as more resistance. If you throw out criticism, it returns as judgment upon you. But if you throw out goodwill, if you throw out peace, it returns as protection. This is why the non-resistant person is always protected. They are surrounded by an armor of their own positive vibration. Harm cannot touch them because there is no correspondence in their own nature. You cannot be hurt by something you do not believe in. If you truly believe that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, then the weapons turn into roses. But let us be practical. How do you do this when the crisis is happening right now? When the phone rings with bad news? When the accident happens? The first step is the pause. You must place a gap between the stimulus and your reaction. In that gap, you make a choice. You can react with the old habit of panic, which is resistance, or you can respond with the new habit of trust, which is non-resistance. You say to yourself, "None of these things move me." This does not mean you are unfeeling. It means you are unshakable. You acknowledge the facts, but you deny their power to destroy you. You look at the problem and you see the solution standing right behind it. The law of non-resistance is also the secret to physical health. Much of our illness is caused by crystallized resentment and suppressed fear. We hold tension in our bodies. We brace ourselves against life. We stiffen our shoulders, we clench our jaws. We are physically resisting the present moment. This blocks the flow of vital energy. When you practice non-resistance, you learn to relax. You learn to yield. You tell your body to let go. You trust the intelligence of your cells. Healing is a letting go, not a forcing. You cannot force a wound to heal. You can only clean it, protect it, and let the body do its work. The same is true for your life. You cannot force your life to heal. You must clean your mind of fear, protect your peace, and let the divine design take over. Ultimately, non-resistance is an act of supreme confidence. It is the confidence that the universe is friendly. It is the belief that everything is working out for your highest good, even if it looks like a disaster in the moment. The master knows that the darkest hour is just before the dawn. The master does not curse the darkness. The master prepares for the sunrise. When you stop resisting, you start flowing. You get into the stream of providence. Synchronicities start to happen. You meet the right people. You find the right books. You stumble upon the right ideas. This is not luck. This is the natural result of removing the friction from your vibration. You are no longer canceling out your own prayers. So, your assignment for this law is simple yet challenging. For the next 24 hours, agree with your adversary quickly. If a bill comes, agree to pay it with gratitude. If a conflict arises, refuse to argue. If a delay happens, refuse to fret. Simply say, "This too is part of the plan, and I accept the good that is hidden within it." Treat every obstacle as a stepping stone. Treat every enemy as a teacher. Treat every delay as a time of preparation. When you do this, you become fluid. You become like water. Water is the most non-resistant element on Earth. It flows around rocks. It yields to gravity. It changes shape to fit any vessel. And yet water is the most powerful force on Earth. It carves canyons. It moves mountains. It destroys obstacles by simply flowing around them and over them. Be like water. Do not be the rock that stands rigid and gets cracked by the pressure. Be the water that flows and finds its way home. This is the power of non-resistance. It is the power that commands life without effort. It is the gentle strength that conquers all. Now, we arrive at the intellectual barrier that stops 90% of people from manifesting their desires. You have understood the error of the struggle, and you have practiced the law of non-resistance, but then the mortal mind, that logical, analytical part of your brain, raises its hand and asks the inevitable question. It asks, but how? How will the money come? How will the healing happen? How will the relationship be repaired when it looks completely broken? This question seems responsible. It seems like the question of a prudent person. But in the realm of metaphysics, the obsession with how is the single greatest block to your success. The how is not your business. The how is the domain of infinite intelligence. Your job is the what. Your job is to define the destination. When you try to figure out the route, you are interfering with the navigation system of the universe. We must understand the limitation of the human intellect to grasp why this is true. Your conscious mind is a wonderful tool for analyzing the past and managing the present, but it is a terrible tool for predicting the future. It can only work with the data it has already collected. It knows what has happened before. It knows what is logically probable based on statistics. But the superconscious mind, the God self within you, operates in the realm of the miraculous. It has access to channels of supply that you do not know exist. It sees connections between people and events that are invisible to your limited vantage point. When you insist on knowing how it will happen, you are limiting the universe to your own small understanding. You are saying, I will only accept a solution that I can logically explain right now. This closes the door to the miracle. It shuts out the unexpected check in the mail. It shuts out the chance meeting with a stranger who changes your career. It shuts out the sudden idea that solves the problem in an instant. Florence Scovel Shinn spoke of this as casting the burden. Imagine for a moment that you are carrying a massive trunk on your back. It is filled with your debts, your worries, your health issues, and your fears about the future. You are bent double under the weight. You are sweating. You are exhausted. You can barely put one foot in front of the other. You are trying to climb a mountain while carrying this impossible load. Beside you walks a giant, a porter of immense strength, who is happy to carry the trunk for you. This porter is the superconscious mind. The instruction is simple. Give the trunk to the porter. Cast the burden. But what do most of us do? We hand the trunk to the porter and feel a moment of relief. We say a prayer. We do an affirmation. We feel lighter. But then, 5 minutes later, we look at the porter and say, "Are you sure you can handle it? Maybe I should just hold one corner. Maybe I should check if the lock is secure." And before we know it, we have snatched the trunk back and placed it on our own shoulders again. This cycle of casting the burden and then picking it back up is why you are tired. You are playing a game of catch with your own misery. You must learn to let go completely. To cast the burden means to relinquish the responsibility for the outcome. It means you look at your problem, let us say it is a financial debt, and you say, "This is too heavy for me. I cannot solve this with my limited income and my limited logic. I cast this burden on the Christ within. I go free to be wealthy." And then, and this is the crucial part, you act as if the debt is already paid. You walk with a lighter step. You do not worry about the how. You do not sit at the kitchen table doing frantic math on the back of an envelope. You trust that the agency you have handed the problem to is capable of solving it. When you try to figure out the how, you are actually engaging in an act of doubt. You are telling the universe, "I do not trust you to deliver, so I must supervise the delivery." Imagine you hire a master architect to build your dream home. You tell him what you want. You give him the vision. But then you show up at the construction site every day to tell the bricklayers how to mix the mortar. You question the engineers about the foundation. You interfere with the electrical wiring. What happens? You ruin the house. You slow down the project. You annoy the experts. Eventually, the architect walks away and leaves you with a pile of bricks. This is what you do to the divine design of your life when you obsess over the how. You are micromanaging God. You are trying to force infinite power through the tiny funnel of your own logic. There is a profound freedom that comes when you realize the how is not your job. It is a physical sensation of release. When you truly cast the burden, your shoulders drop. Your breathing deepens. The knot in your stomach dissolves. If you do not feel this physical relief, you have not yet cast the burden. You are still holding on to it mentally. You are still trying to figure it out. Real faith is not a strain. Real faith is a relaxation. It is the feeling of sinking into a comfortable chair and knowing it will hold your weight. You do not check the legs of the chair before you sit. You trust the chair. You must trust the law of attraction with the same casual confidence. Let me give you a scenario to illustrate the nonlinear nature of the how. Suppose you need a specific sum of money for a seemingly impossible deadline. The intellect says, I must work more hours. I must sell something. I must borrow it. These are the logical hows. They are limited. If you fixate on them, you block other avenues. But if you cast the burden and stand still, the superconscious mind goes to work. Perhaps a distant relative leaves you an inheritance. Perhaps a tax refund arrives early. Perhaps you have an idea for a product that sells instantly. Or perhaps the debt itself is canceled or the deadline is moved. The intellect could never predict these outcomes. The intellect draws straight lines, but the universe draws curves. The solution often comes from a direction you are not even looking at. This is why you must take your eyes off the problem. As long as you stare at the closed door, you cannot see the window that has just blown open. The act of casting the burden is also an act of humility. It is admitting that your conscious mind does not know everything. It is admitting that there is a wisdom greater than yours. This humility is not weakness, it is strength. It connects you to the powerhouse of the universe. When you say, I do not know how this will resolve, but I know it is resolved, you are opening the floodgates of intuition. Intuition is the voice of the how. Once you have cast the burden, you will often receive a nudge, a quiet idea, a sudden impulse to call someone or go somewhere. This is the superconscious mind guiding your feet. It is not a frantic shout, it is a gentle whisper. But you cannot hear the whisper if you are screaming with anxiety about the how. We must also address the fear that comes with not knowing the how. We are trained to believe that if we don't have a plan, we are irresponsible. We are taught that we must map out every step. But in the spiritual life, the map is revealed one step at a time. You are driving a car at night. The headlights only show you 200 feet ahead. You cannot see the destination. You cannot see the whole road, but you can see enough to keep moving. If you refuse to drive because you cannot see the entire route, you will never leave the driveway. Casting the burden means you are willing to drive with just the headlights. You are willing to take the next obvious step without knowing the 10th step. You trust that when you get to the bend in the road, the light will reveal what is around the corner. This is the discipline of the stand still. The Bible says, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Standing still does not mean doing nothing. It does not mean laziness. It means mental stillness. It means quieting the intellect that wants to run around in circles. It means holding your ground in the face of appearances. When the bank account looks empty, you stand still in your conviction of abundance. When the body looks sick, you stand still in your conviction of health. You do not let the lack of a visible how shake your faith in the inevitable what. You hold the vision and let the universe handle the logistics. Consider the lilies of the field, as the scripture says. They toil not, neither do they spin. They do not hold board meetings about how to grow. They do not stress about the rainfall. They do not worry about the sun. They simply are. And yet they are clothed in beauty greater than Solomon in all his glory. There is a biological intelligence that handles the how of the flower's growth. That same intelligence runs your life. It beats your heart without you having to command it. It digests your food without you having to plan it. It heals your cuts without you having to supervise the process. If the infinite intelligence handles the complex biology of your survival, why do you not trust it to handle the relatively simple matter of your career or your finances? The power that made the body can heal the body. The power that created the world can certainly pay your rent. To practice this effectively, you must become a master of the release. When a worry thought comes up asking, "But what if this happens?" you must treat it like a telemarketer calling your phone. You see the caller ID. You know who it is. It is fear trying to sell you a disaster. You do not answer. You do not argue. You hang up. You say, "I have already given this problem to the manager. It is no longer on my desk." And you return to your work. You return to your joy. You return to the present moment. You protect your peace with the ferocity of a lioness protecting her cubs. You do not let the how drag you back into the swamp of doubt. This does not mean you will not act, but your actions will change. Instead of acting from panic, you will act from inspiration. Instead of forcing doors open, you will walk through doors that open for you. The difference in energy is palpable. Action taken from knowing is efficient and effective. Action taken from worrying about the how is chaotic and wasteful. You will find that you do less but accomplish more. You will stop striving and start arriving. This is the paradox of spiritual command. By giving up the need to control the method, you gain control over the result. So here is your assignment for the burdens you are carrying today. Visualize them. Put them all in a bag. The debt, the conflict, the illness, the confusion. Feel the weight of it. And then in your mind's eye, see yourself handing that bag to a radiant being of light, your own superconscious self. Watch that being take the bag with a smile. Feel the weight leave your shoulders. Stand up straighter. Take a deep breath, and then turn around and walk away. Do not look back. Do not wonder if the bag is being handled. It is being handled. Your only job now is to keep your hands free to receive the good that is coming. Do not fill your hands with the old burden again. Keep them open. Keep them ready. The solution is on its way, and it will arrive in a manner you could never have planned, but which will be absolutely perfect. Trust the porter. Enjoy the walk. The burden is no longer yours. We have traveled a long distance together through the landscape of the mind. We have dismantled the error of the struggle, and we have learned the spiritual posture of knowing. We have embraced the law of non-resistance, and we have cast the burden of the how onto the superconscious mind. But metaphysical knowledge without practical application is merely intellectual entertainment. Airy ideas without action are just pretty clouds that drift by and leave no rain for your harvest. We must now bring these high truths down to the ground level of your daily existence. We must translate the law into a lifestyle, because the truth is that you do not command life with a single dramatic gesture made once a year. You command life through the microscopic decisions you make every single hour of every single day. The battle for your peace is won or lost in the quiet moments of your morning routine and the silent conversations you have with yourself in traffic. So here is your manual for daily command. These are not suggestions. These are the protocols of the master. If you follow them with consistency, you will see the fabric of your reality reweave itself into a pattern of success and ease. But you must be diligent. The mortal mind is a creature of habit, and it will try to pull you back into the old comfortable rhythms of stress and struggle. You must be the watchman at the gate of your own consciousness. Step 1 is the morning decree. The first 10 minutes of your day are the most critical moments of your existence. When you first wake up, your conscious mind is still soft. It is like wet cement. Whatever you write on it in those first few moments will harden and set the structure for your entire day. Most people wake up and immediately pick up their phones. They scroll through the news, which is a catalog of human misery. They check their emails, which is a list of other people's demands. They check social media, which is a generator of envy and inadequacy. By the time they get out of bed, they have already imprinted their soft subconscious mind with anxiety, urgency, and lack. They have lost the day before it has even begun. To command without stress, you must reclaim this territory. Before your feet touch the floor and before you engage with the world, you must set your spiritual thermostat. You must issue a decree. A decree is not a wish. It is a statement of fact about the nature of your reality. You lie in bed and you say inwardly but with absolute finality, I am commanding my day. Everything I need today meets me with ease. I move with the flow of divine intelligence, and I am surrounded by the armor of peace. You visualize your day not as a series of obstacles to survive, but as a red carpet unrolling before you. You see yourself moving through meetings with grace. You see yourself handling challenges with humor. You prime the pump of your imagination. When you do this, you are sending a signal to the universe that says, "Here comes a master," and the universe rearranges itself to treat you like one. Do not skip this step. You would not walk out of your house without clothes, so do not walk into your day without your spiritual armor. Step 2 is the audit of language. We must address the specific words you use because words are not just sounds. They are containers of power. They are the tools with which you chisel your reality. There is one word in particular that is the enemy of command, and that word is trying. Watch how often you say it. I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to get that job. I'm trying to heal. Trying is honorable in the eyes of the world, but in the eyes of the law, it is a confession of doubt. Trying implies the possibility of failure. It implies struggle. It implies that you are pushing against a resisting force. It is exhausting. I want you to replace the word trying with the word allowing. This is a subtle shift that changes everything. Instead of saying, I am trying to fix this relationship, say I am allowing love to restore this connection. Instead of saying, I am trying to make more money, say I am allowing abundance to flow to me. Do you feel the difference? Trying is a pushing energy. Allowing is a receiving energy. When you allow, you are acknowledging that the good you seek is already there, pressing against your door, and you are simply unlocking the latch. You are not manufacturing the water, you are simply turning on the tap. Throughout your day, catch yourself. When you hear yourself say, I'm trying, stop immediately. Correct it. Say no. I am allowing. This linguistic shift rewires your brain from a state of friction to a state of flow. It takes the pressure off your small self and places the power back where it belongs. Step 3 is the pause of authority. Stress thrives on momentum. It starts as a small thought of worry and then it gathers speed. It attracts another worry and another until it becomes a runaway train of panic. The only way to stop a train is to cut the power. You must learn the art of the pause. During your day, you will inevitably face triggers. A bill will arrive. A rude comment will be made. A plan will fall apart. The old you would react instantly. You would snap back. You would spiral into fear. You would start fixing things frantically. The master does not react. The master responds. And the difference between reaction and response is the pause. When the chaos hits, you must freeze. Do not speak. Do not type that angry email. Do not pick up the phone. Stop, take a deep breath, drop your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. In that moment of silence, you are breaking the circuit of stress. You are asserting your dominion over your own nervous system. You remind yourself, I do not need to force what is mine. Peace, be still. You wait until you feel your equilibrium return before you take action. Action taken from panic always creates more problems. Action taken from the pause solves the problem. You will be amazed at how many crises resolve themselves simply because you did not feed them with your immediate reaction. The pause is where your power lives. It is the space where the divine design can enter the situation. Step 4 is the practice of as if. We often wait for the external world to change before we change our internal state. We say, I will be confident when I get the promotion. I will be relaxed when the debt is paid. This is backward. You must be the thing before you can have the thing. You must dress your mind in the clothes of the reality you desire. Throughout the day, play a game with yourself. Ask yourself, if I were already the person I want to be, how would I handle this? If you were already wealthy, how would you walk into the grocery store? You wouldn't be calculating pennies with anxiety. You would walk with gratitude and ease. So walk that way now. If you were already healed, how would you sit in your chair? You wouldn't be scanning your body for pain. You would be enjoying the sensation of rest. So sit that way now. This is not faking it until you make it. This is tuning it until you receive it. You are a radio, and you are tuning your frequency to the station where your desire is already playing. When you act as if you are giving the subconscious mind a blueprint, you are showing it exactly what to manifest. If you walk around with slumped shoulders and a furrowed brow, you are giving the subconscious a blueprint of a victim. If you walk with your head high and a slight smile, you are giving it a blueprint of a victor. The subconscious does not judge. It simply executes the instructions you give it through your body language and your feelings. So, carry yourself like royalty. Speak with the cadence of success. Treat yourself with the respect you want others to give you. You are commanding the universe by your very presence. Step 5 is the evening review. How you end your day is just as important as how you start it. Most people end their day by reviewing their failures. They lay in bed and replay every awkward conversation, every mistake, and everything they didn't get done. They beat themselves up. This is a destructive habit. It programs the subconscious to wake up the next morning with guilt and heaviness. We are going to change this. In the evening, instead of reviewing what went wrong, I want you to review what flowed. Look for the moments of ease. Where did things go right today? Where did you feel a moment of peace? Where did a coincidence happen in your favor? Train your attention to become a detective for grace. Ease is not accidental, it is instructional. The more you notice the ease, the more of it you will create. And if something did go wrong, do not dwell on it. Use the power of revision. Replay the scene in your mind, but change it. See yourself handling it calmly. See the outcome being positive. By doing this, you are neutralizing the memory before it can take root in your subconscious as a trauma or a limiting belief. You are cleaning the slate. And finally, as you drift off to sleep, give your subconscious a specific assignment. The subconscious mind works hardest when the conscious mind is asleep. It is the night shift. Do not give it a nightmare to work on. Give it a solution to find. Say to yourself, I cast every burden on the infinite intelligence within. I wake up tomorrow with clear answers and new energy. My sleep is a restoration of my power. Go to sleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Sleep with a smile on your face. Sleep with the feeling of relief. The feeling you fall asleep with is the seed you plant for the next morning's harvest. Conclusion. These steps, the morning decree, the audit of language, the pause of authority, the practice of as if, and the evening review are your toolkit. They are simple, but they are not easy. They require vigilance. You will fail. You will slip back into stress. You will catch yourself trying and pushing. That is okay. Do not judge yourself. Self-judgment is just another form of resistance. Simply notice it, smile at it, and gently return to the seat of authority. It is a practice, not a performance. Remember that authority is a muscle. It grows with use. The first time you choose the pause instead of the reaction, it will feel difficult. The 10th time, it will feel natural. The 100th time, it will be your automatic state of being. You are rewiring your nervous system to run on the fuel of trust instead of the fuel of adrenaline. You are becoming a person who commands without a word, a person whose very presence brings order to chaos. So today, start small. Pick one of these steps and master it. Maybe today is just about the morning decree. Maybe tomorrow is about catching the word trying. Do not overwhelm yourself. That would be using force. Just take the next step. Move with the steady, calm rhythm of the ocean. You are building a life of magnificence, and magnificence cannot be rushed. It is built brick by brick with the mortar of faith and the hands of peace. You are ready. You are equipped. Now, go forth and command your day not with a shout, but with a knowing silence. The universe is waiting to serve the one who knows who they are. Be that one. We have now reached the end of this specific transmission, but in reality, we have only just arrived at the beginning of your true life. We have walked together through the mechanics of the mind. We have dissected the error of the struggle and exposed the futility of force. We have learned that the heavy lifting of the universe is not done by the straining muscle of the mortal will, but by the silent leverage of the spiritual word. You now possess the map. You understand the law of non-resistance. You know how to cast the burden. You have the daily protocols to retrain your consciousness. But before we part ways, there is one final deeper truth that must settle into your spirit. This is not just about getting what you want. This is about becoming who you were always meant to be. You are not just learning a technique to manipulate reality. You are learning a new language. You are learning the language of faith. Most of you have spent your entire lives speaking the language of fear. It is a noisy, chaotic tongue. It is the language of what if, and if only, and I can't. You have practiced this language so often that you speak it fluently without even thinking. You wake up and your inner monologue immediately starts narrating a story of lack and limitation. You tell yourself why today will be hard. You tell yourself why you are not enough. You speak the language of the victim with a perfect accent, and because life is a faithful listener, it has responded to you in that same language. It has spoken back to you in the dialect of obstacles, delays, and disappointments. You have been having a conversation with the universe in the language of struggle, and you have been winning the argument to your own detriment. Now, you are choosing to learn a new language. The language of faith is quiet. It is precise. It is the language of it is done, and I am. Like learning any new language, it will feel awkward at first. Your old habits will try to assert themselves. You will find yourself wanting to revert to the familiar vocabulary of worry, because worry feels like doing something, while faith feels like doing nothing. When you first speak a word of command, it may feel like you are faking it. You may look at your empty bank account and say, I am abundant, and your logical mind will laugh and say, no, you are not. This is the critical threshold. This is the moment where the soldier becomes the ruler. You must understand that you do not speak the language of faith because it describes your current reality. You speak it to create your future reality. You are not reporting the news, you are making the news. We must address the transition period because this is where many fall away. There is often a time lag between the spoken word and the visible manifestation. This is not a denial. This is the law of gestation. When you speak a word of faith, you are planting a seed in the universal substance. You cannot see the seed once it is buried. For a time, it looks like nothing is happening. The surface of the ground remains undisturbed. The language of fear looks at the bare ground and screams, "It didn't work. Dig it up." The language of faith looks at the bare ground and smiles, knowing that underneath the soil, the chemistry of creation is igniting. You must be willing to speak into the silence. You must be willing to hold your command when the world is giving you no evidence. This is what it means to walk by faith and not by sight. Sight is for the history of what has been. Faith is the architect of what will be. You were never meant to command life like a tired soldier barking orders in the mud. The soldier screams because he fears he will not be obeyed. He uses force because he lacks true authority. You were meant to command like a calm ruler who sits on a throne. The ruler does not shout. The ruler whispers. The ruler knows that his word is law. When the ruler speaks, "Let there be light," he does not check to see if the candles are lit. He assumes it is done, and he moves on to the next matter of state. This is the level of royalty you are returning to. It is a return. You are not becoming something you are not. You are remembering something you forgot. You are a spiritual being who has suffered from a case of mistaken identity. You thought you were the servant of life, but you are the master of circumstances. As you practice this new language, you will notice a profound shift in your physiology. The tension that has lived in your shoulders for decades will begin to dissolve. The knot of anxiety in your stomach will untie itself. You will sleep deeper. You will breathe slower. This physical ease is the first sign that the command has been received. Do not discount it. Many people look for the pile of money or the new car as the first sign. But the peace that passes understanding is the true first sign. If you have the peace, the thing is already on its way. The peace is the container that holds the miracle. If you cannot hold the peace, you cannot hold the power. Let us also speak of the battle. We often say the battle is not yours but God's. This is the most liberating sentence in the English language. It means you can resign as the general of the universe. You have been trying to fight battles that are too big for your mortal arms. You have been trying to figure out how to defeat enemies that are invisible. You have been exhausted because you are doing a job you were never hired to do. Your job is not to fight the battle. Your job is to stand still and see the salvation. Your job is to hold the vision of the victory while the infinite intelligence executes the strategy. When you realize this, you will feel a weight lift off your soul that you didn't even know you were carrying. You will realize that you are safe. You are backed by a power that has never known defeat. There is no power to hurt you because there is only one power in the universe, and that power is good. There will be days when you slip. You will fall back into the old language. You will yell at the traffic. You will cry over the bill. You will panic at the diagnosis. Do not judge yourself. Self-judgment is the most insidious form of resistance. It is the ego trying to sneak back in through the back door of guilt. If you slip, simply correct yourself. Say, I cancel that thought. I return to my center. It is not about being perfect, it is about being persistent. The universe is not keeping a scorecard of your mistakes. It is only responding to your dominant vibration. One moment of clear, focused faith can wipe out days of fearful thinking. You are always only one decision away from your throne. You can return to the seat of authority in the blink of an eye. It is never too late. You are never too far gone. As you master this language of faith, you will become a lighthouse for others. We are living in a world that is drowning in the noise of fear. People are terrified. They are confused. They are looking for answers outside of themselves. When you walk into a room carrying the vibration of the finished kingdom, the vibration of absolute certainty and peace, people will feel it. They will not know why, but they will feel safer around you. Your calm will be contagious. You will command the storm, not just in your own life, but in the lives of those around you. You will become a way shower. You will show them that there is another way to live. You will show them that life does not have to be a struggle. You will show them that the secret door to success is not locked. It is simply waiting for a hand that does not tremble to turn the knob. So, my friends, loosen your grip. Lower your voice inwardly. Stop trying to strangle the life out of your desires. Let them breathe. Let them come to you. You are a magnet, not a claw. You attract by who you are, not by how hard you pull. Decide once. Trust longer. Watch the glorious unfolding of the divine design. It is a design of such beauty and complexity that your mortal mind could never have conceived it. It has plot twists that will delight you. It has resources that will amaze you. But you must let it unfold. You must stop trying to force the rose to open. Let the sun do its work. If this message has served you, if it has reminded you of the truth that was already sleeping in your heart, then do not let this be a fleeting moment of inspiration. Inspiration is cheap. Transformation is costly. It costs you your old way of being. It costs you your right to complain. It costs you your victimhood. But the reward is dominion. Stay connected to this truth. Revisit these words when the world tries to shout you down. We are building a community of rulers here, a community of people who refuse to bow to the idols of fear and lack. We are the ones who speak the language of faith. I leave you with this final image. Imagine a door standing before you. It is the door to the life you have always wanted. For years you have been pounding on this door, screaming at it, kicking it, trying to break it down with your bare hands. You are bloody and bruised and exhausted. And now, in the silence of your new understanding, you stop. You take a breath. You look closely at the handle, and you realize the door was never locked. It opens inward. All your pushing only kept it closed. You step back. You grasp the handle gently. You pull. And the door swings open effortlessly, revealing the golden light of your own good. Walk through it. You are ready. You are worthy. And you are free. If this message has served you, if it has reminded you of the truth that was already sleeping in your heart, do not let it stop here. Wisdom shared is wisdom multiplied. Share this video with someone who is currently carrying a heavy burden. You might be the angel they have been praying for. And if you are ready to master the game of life completely, make sure you are subscribed. We have many more lessons from the archives of truth coming your way. You are a ruler. It is time you started living like one. Thank you for watching, and remember, the battle is not yours. Stand still and see.